Here we are, we're back, and I did a little bit of work off camera. I changed the exhaust manifold gaskets, and I thought it was gonna take like 2 minutes. It definitely wasn't 2 minutes. So I was just thinking, whatever, I'll just put it together real quick, and then I'll talk about it. I should have filmed it because it was actually pretty annoying, and let me show you kind of what happened. All right, inside of here, well, we needed to remove this piece right here, which is connected to the exhaust that goes outside of the underneath of the car. Now, I was given the bolt for this location by the owner, and I was under the impression that it would just go back in, but the bolt is actually broken inside. So I'm gonna have to strip this one later, drill it out, and re-tap for a new hole. And then each of these, they were okay, but what happened is there was actually no gasket in there pretty much at all. It was gone. It was just gone. Now, if we go over to this side, same thing on this side. All the bolts are here, but as I was starting to take one of the bolts out, possibly this one, yeah, this one, you could just feel that it was so rusted that it was just gonna break. There was no way to back off, pull forward. There's no way to loosen, like it was already loose, but it was loose from rust. So that's something we're gonna have to deal with in the future. There's still a little bit of the bolt sticking out, and that's what is actually, it's inside of this spot. It's not inside of the engine like the other bolt is. So I think we can probably clasp or grab onto that somehow and then back it out. Hopefully. If not, we may have to cut it, drill it out. But the rest of them are on. And then we also put a new gasket in here, and the whole thing sounds way better. The lighting situation is a bit tricky because occasionally the headlights will work. So I'm not going to drive this thing at night. When I'm sitting still, not driving the car, like on the property, the brake lights don't work. As soon as I'm driving and moving, the brake lights are fine. Doesn't matter if I'm at a stoplight, doesn't matter what's happening. Brake lights, blinkers, they're fine. But if I'm here trying to diagnose it, nothing works, except for one brake light. So it's street legal, it drives, brake lights work, blinkers work. So until I figure that out, I can still drive it, that's fine. Then we also tested the headlights by tapping directly into the battery to the headlights. They're fine, they don't need to be changed. It's a short somewhere that we have to figure out, and we can't seem to find it yet. So we're potentially considering, because this whole thing has already been messed with the wiring in a very confusing way. It's none of it is original. We just may rewire the whole thing so I know what's going on inside of here, because it's a bit confusing right now. So I actually have to take this thing out probably later today and tomorrow. One of them I have to pick up a big load, and then tomorrow I have to pick up a big load of dirt. So I need to put on some new boards today, and I will talk to you about that as soon as we're doing it. But I want to put in the glove box so it doesn't just look like this thing's tore apart. All right, when we originally got this, the clasp was stuck on to the other part that holds basically the D-ring, whatever you call this. It was stuck to the clasp of the glove box, and I couldn't take it out. So what we had to do was pop out. It's very confusing how this comes apart. So I want to fix this glove box, and you can see, look, this totally spins. It doesn't have any grab, and it's locked in place. The way to fix it is, because this doesn't come out at all, we found to take the screws off. And then once the screws are off, I can flip it upside down. And there's a little latch on the inside of this little opening right here. There. Now it can come apart. Now what I'm going to do is just keep this on here because I can still pretty much use it, kind of. Well, it's still in, and I'll show you what I'm going to do temporarily until I find a new piece. All right, it's in, but the way this is going to work for now, because I'll have to order a new piece, but when I looked them up online, they were rather expensive for being this tiny little piece, about 60 bucks just for this, because this doesn't spin and work very well. Or actually, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't spin and lock. You saw a little tensioner right here, a little spring activated something that holds it in place once it's connected into the lock. But as long as I push this into the hole and I don't depress that little spring activated thing to get it set into the lock in the back, it will hold the little finger latch closed. And the way I would unlock it is by pulling it out, and it would open up the finger lock. So the finger clasps. So what I'm going to do every time I need to get in here is just take this out, put that in. Now it's in. Then to take it out, now it's out. But hey, we got a glove compartment now, and that will be fixed in time. I also noticed that there's a little bit of a gap here as it's hanging down, and I wonder, maybe I'll turn the thing around. All right, I just switched it, and that doesn't work, so I'm gonna have to deal with that gap later. That's cool. Glad it works. Also, I don't know if you can see how much I'm sweating. I need to get this thing in the shade so that we can work on the back. Actually, I just turned it around so we have more space because there were some trees over there. So I think this is great because we are now in the shade. It got really hot over there and this doesn't have AC. All right, all the wood is in here, and funny enough, we're in Tennessee and we get 4 seasons in a day. So it was burning hot over there and I was sweating, and now there's a pretty big thunderstorm coming in and it's getting dark. And I gotta do this so that the camera doesn't get rained on. So let's move a little bit quick. All right, the rain's coming down, so luckily I'm underneath this canopy. I don't think, no, rain's not falling on it, but I don't think I could film too much longer right now. I'm gonna go get lunch, but let me describe to you where we're at. I have 6 of these 2x12s, and I'm going to stack the second one up right next to it, right here, and then brace it in from the backside. This is totally untreated wood, and I have some ideas on what I want to do to secure this or seal it. I have some food grade seal that I used on my garden beds, and I also was questioning using the char method where you take a blowtorch basically and you char the whole thing. I've tried that before one time, it took way too long, plus I can feel this board is pretty moist, so I may have to wait until it dries a little bit, because that may have been the problem I had last time. But if you have any ideas, and if you want to see this look a certain way, let me know in the comments, because I would love to know some suggestions on what to seal this board with. I didn't realize these were so bad. I didn't realize this one was so bad before doing all this. So this definitely has to be replaced. I'm just gonna go and get 4 new bolts, but just for now, I'm gonna hold it in so I can get everything into place. All right, I just got a notification on my phone, heavy rain soon. So if I stop abruptly, that's why, because I gotta get this camera out of the rain. But I still wanted to put at least the backside up, and then we'll have a fully enclosed, smaller section. I still want to raise it up another 12 inches. but I'll probably have to do that after lunch or after it stops raining super hard. Let's get started. Well, the battery just died, so we got to do this when we get back. There were heavy winds and rain for about an hour. Now all that's gone. And now I'm glad I kept the truck underneath these trees because it kept the boards from getting too wet. Here it is with the first layer done. And we're gonna go a second layer, which is gonna bring it to about this tall on the 3 sides. Later on, we'll put a cage in the back to stop anything from breaking the window and so that I could still see out. So that other piece I cut out came to the board here, the board came to the metal here and left this gap right here. And I was gonna leave it because it is a work truck, but we are working on making this thing look nicer, not halfway when I could have done it full way. So I made a template off of a smaller piece to try to make it so that I can use that, line it up on one of the other boards, and then properly cut around this little metal bar. And there we are, the finished product. A really nice big bed to use. And again, if you have any ideas on what you think I should use for the stain. And then for the next video, my next task, goal, plan is to sand out everything from underneath and get that, we bought Rust-Oleum as a layer underneath here to stop any rusting and to stop anything from getting in and to stop water from getting in and making this any worse. So that's what we're gonna do. And I also bought some caulking, some window caulking to replace the seals of these doors, because this one, well, this one's in here fine. The other one slips in and out, and those windows are kind of expensive. So what we're gonna do next video is replace the seals here too, just with caulking. I'm not actually gonna replace the seals. And then I need to find online something I can put inside of this gap, because the original fill, whatever was here, the rubber layer, that is gone and water gets in there. I also have to, here's another thing, this is really important because I can't drive it in the rain yet. I have no windshield wipers, so I need that next too. Well, thanks for being here with me on this one. I know it's different than what I normally post. Thanks for watching, and here's how this truck is actually going to help us so much. Do you see this ground, this soil? This part where our garden is terrible. Actually, a lot of this part of Tennessee where we live at, it's not all of Tennessee, it's a very small part that we actually live at, is very rocky with very low soil, and it's been really hard to grow here. So what we are doing is raise mounds with wood chips, and we're just doing things the way we can without having a lot of soil underneath the ground, because it's not whether this soil that we have right here is fertile, because what small amount is can be, but the problem is it's bedrock in a very few inches underneath. I can't really get T-posts in or anything. So if you are curious about how we're doing this and how we're finding ways to grow in a place like this, I have a few videos showing and talking about why we chose to do wood chips, how it's actually working, and our plans for this garden. So if you're interested in that, check out the videos at the end, and we'll see you next time.